proposition believe that people must be given a chance to decide their own future, not have it decided for them. And that is why we are so incredibly proud to propose this resolution before us today. Okay, so what am I going to do? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to provide rebuttal of what we've heard from side opposition, then reconstruct what we've heard from side proposition, and tell you why we've already actually won this debate. Okay, so let's look at what we heard from side opposition already. They told us that 4 months won't solve our problems. We will tell you that it does, because ladies and gentlemen, there's a thing called learning through immersion, and we believe that we are doing just that. They're having the opportunity to have these experiences given to them and have the opportunity to experience them for themselves without the burden of having to return to their communities because they have no able way to support themselves. Okay, so what else did they told us? They told us that they basically integrate on their own already. We would tell you that that's simply not true because we don't really ever see anyone leaving these communities. It doesn't really ever happen, ever, and because of that, we recognize that that point doesn't really stand because we think there's going to be at least a few in every 100 that want to leave because it's not necessarily the best way to live if you're looking at it from receiving amenities point of view. Okay, so what else did they tell us? They told us that basically these people are very highly employable. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good luck trying to find a job where you have to use an ox-driven plow. Good luck with that. Okay, we recognize that yes, they might have some skilled labor, and we think that that's actually true. But we recognize that it still takes time to find a job, ladies and gentlemen. These jobs aren't everywhere. It takes time and money to search for these jobs, and because of that, they need this economic compensation in order to be allowed to make their own choice, not dependent on what they can or cannot do because they don't have the money to do it. Okay, so what else did they tell us? They told us that the government needs to separate itself from religion. Yes.
Okay, so aren't there government organizations that actually aid people in finding jobs, finding housing, integrating into society, buying land?
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so as my partner brought up, why are the religious institutions doing the paying? Because they are the ones that are responsible for these individuals not having these elements of society that allow them to reintegrate. We help poor people, and the government pays them to break the poverty cycle. Why is it the government doing the paying? Because there's no other institution responsible, there's no other institution able to do just that, help them break the poverty cycle. That is why it is the burden of these religious institutions and areas. Not right now. Okay, so what else have they told us? They told us that basically the government needs to separate themselves from religion. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't necessarily an issue of religion so much as it is a government taking an opposition stance to the idea that these communities don't give people a choice. Because when you are born into a community that will not allow you to leave without facing massive repercussions, such as the instance that my partner brought up of 2 boys being beaten severely, we think that it is inherent to the government as a moral government to give them the opportunity and the chance and requiring this opportunity to leave their societies through having these institutions pay for it. Not now. Okay. So we recognize that this isn't a government looking at certain religions, they're just looking at very specific instances in which these individuals have no way of reconnecting with normal society, and because of that, the government recognizes that in all the instances we're talking about and have found thus far, it is religious institutions. It's not a matter of religion, it's about a matter of giving people a choice. Okay, so now that we've thoroughly dealt with all the points brought to us before us, I'm going to reconstruct my partner's points. Okay, so what did we tell you? We told you that this will allow for reintegration. And we told you, I'll take you in a minute, that it is the responsibility of the religious institutions to pay this because they are the ones responsible for these people not being able to leave. Would you not agree?
How do you expect people who, as you mentioned, use ox-driven plows pay 4 months rent in a Canadian city?
Thank you. Okay, so we recognize that these small townships, they're still economically viable. Because one, we recognize that they receive benefits from the government that any other small township might receive, like money to pay for your education and things of that sort. So they do have money. And second of all, they have economies. They're not just these poor people without any source of income or monetary value. So we recognize that they do have this money, and again, we're talking within reason. We're not saying pay for their apartment on the top of New York skyline. We're saying pay for them in a small apartment so that they can readjust. And integration, and we believe that it must be the choice of the individual, not the institution. We are so incredibly proud to propose this resolution, and that is why it must and will stand. Thank you very much.